Should I mute my end when the songs play?
If you want to, we are live now. So thank you, Alex. What's going on? We're doing the live track by track of Alex's new album. Everybody's famous. Alex has been on the channel before. After this stream is over with, I'll leave a link to our interview. It was really great. I enjoyed my time with Alex, and he was wanting to come back on. So I feel like now, we've had time to indulge ourselves in the album. But Alex, I appreciate you coming back and wanting to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, I had such a great conversation with you last time and loved it. And just thought this would be the best place to do the track.
Oh,
Let's dive down that rabbit hole.
yeah. So this is everybody's famous. I left a link in the description if you'd like to go pick it up. Go support my man Alex. Go do it. That'd be awesome. Um, in terms of the thought process, Alex, because this is an 8-track album. I love the album art. I feel like I have to mention that before we start. It reminds me. I feel like if I'm getting this correctly, it's like a Sgt. Pepper's and Lonely Hearts kind of homage album art. I would argue. It's a little. I could kind of find the similarities. I don't know if I'm 100% accurate on that, but just based off of what I've seen and known about, like, classic rock music. That was the first thing that caught in my head. So I don't know if that's 100% accurate, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
It's pretty accurate, but a homage would not be the word. It'd be like a satirization. I was
Okay.
I was looking to like satirize it more than really homage and fill it up with like my favorite things, and this is more kind of inverting it and kind of in that sense. But yeah, I mean
Make it a
it's
little
pretty
weird.
fun.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to go through like the art and like look at it. I would highly recommend if you have the moment to just like delve into the album art. Definitely do it. It's very cool. I like it
Yeah,
personally. So
it's designed to like be blown up really big too. It's like a shitload of pixels condensed, and like the artist who I collaborated with it um, upscaled it so you can go really deep. Like if you
oh,
zoom in, you can get hyper. There's tons of little things and Easter eggs happening there. So if you're
very
one of those
cool.
people, you might
It,
enjoy that.
well, I feel like if you have come here to watch this video, you might be an in-depth person. I'm just gonna say that outright. I feel like if you come to a live track by track, I feel like you have that itch, that knowledge that you need to like delve more into things. So I'm very excited. I had told Alex before, and much like all of my other track by tracks, I have not. I have listened to the single when I had Alex on previously, but I have not listened to it since. And all of the other songs I'm going into blind, so I have no idea what they're gonna sound like, what they're about, anything. And I do it on purpose because I like to like test my musical skills and see if like I can figure out things on the fly, because that's, I like jogging the noggin a little bit. No pun in, not wasn't trying to make a riff salad here, but I'm gonna go with it. But I want to be able to do it on the fly. So, and then we're gonna talk about the song, see where it started out at and where it ended up on the album, and just kind of delve deep. This is the deep dives right here. So please, if you can, go support Alex. But we're gonna start off with the first song, which is "Believe the Hype," and it features Sam Casey. So if Alex is ready, we're gonna board the ship and drive it. So let's rock. I like your outfit here, Alex.
So Canadian, but as much
voice is great. Little bit leads. Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. That was the first song. That was Believe the Hype.
Yeah, man.
Very exciting. I really enjoyed this one a lot. I don't think this was one that I actually had listened to. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, just like having you here and obviously watching me vibe out with it. Something I really enjoyed about it is I always, anytime I watch like a really like grandiose sort of like fun like music video, I almost think like obviously there's a lot of work that goes into doing music videos, but it looked like you were having a good time just doing like obviously the cameraman getting like real up and close with you, and like it just seemed like the energy was at a good spot, I'd argue.
Yeah, man. There was only two of us on that shoot. It was me and Agatha, who was the director and cinematographer
Wow.
for the whole thing, and we just went up to East End Records in Fenland Falls, a few hours from Toronto here. A few buddies own an independent record shop up there, and yeah, we just went nuts. And yeah, her camera work is awesome. It's cool that you kind of picked that out. She really like kind of picked up on the Agent of Chaos kind of vibes of the song.
Oh, 100%. It was cool. Obviously, I know we talked about it a lot in the interview, but I appreciate the fact that you're not only dedicated to the more visual aspects of your music, but also the musicality itself. I mean, I feel like those two things kind of run in tandem together, but it was nice to know like that's kind of your thought process. And at least with the music videos, I'd argue is like there's just so much production value that obviously is adding to that song and the vibes. And I think it almost makes you feel like more immersed in it because you're like, oh, like I get to visually see it and visually see that you're enjoying yourself and having a good time. But the song itself is very like moody, very like very vibey. I love the guitar work. I feel like I mention that a lot in a lot of my videos because I come from a guitar background, so like those are things that I pick up pretty easily, but I love the kind of like almost slap delay on the guitars, and it has almost this like surf rock sort of feel to it. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, but like the musicality, that definitely the coolest standout I think is just like the layering in terms of like the vocals is just so well put together in this song that I think that's what really kind of roped me in more. And then once we got to that chorus, I was like, okay, I can feel it. This is good. Like this is good stuff. And then I think I got even more invested in that second verse. I didn't really notice because you do have Sam Casey, who I'm not familiar with, so maybe that's just maybe a part on me. But where
Mhm.
was Sam's part in regards to like the song itself? Because I'm just curious.
Yeah, so she is in the pre-chorus and
Okay.
in the chorus, and she does sing like more of a supporting role. She doesn't have, let's say, like a verse to herself,
Mm-hmm.
but the part that's like da dum da 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 da, she's got like a third or something above me
Mm-hmm.
in it, and she you can hear the most on the Believe the Hype hook
Yeah,
part
I
where it's like
believe the
believe.
heart. Yeah.
Like she's really hitting that like believe the high. Like I don't actually go up that high. So but she's such a pro at like kind of melding with the song and matching. And it actually Eris is on that track too,
Oh,
Sarah Bolton, who sings on some of my other tracks. Um, so and she's singing like a different harmony. And, it's so hard to fit everything into a production as well. Like there's like strength, there's like all this stuff. It's like there's only so much sonic energy, but yeah. So it's pre-chorus and the chorus. If you listen with like headphones, um, maybe.
I'll have to do a
I
little
guess
bit
you got.
more head. I have the headphones on, so maybe I have to dig a little deeper. I have to mentally focus in. But no,
Well, like you
she.
said, she has a very specific voice, and like maybe if you hear her stuff, you'd probably be able to pick it out.
Yeah, I think if I had listened to Sam Casey's stuff, which I will definitely go check out her stuff now after this.
Totally. Yeah,
But now
it's
I
great.
can now that you mention it, I can kind of remember those parts in the song, and I'm like, oh man, why did I even say that? But it was cool. I really enjoyed kind of again the energy of like the drumming too, like the bass playing is really like all of them mesh super well together, and I imagine just with this song specifically, and obviously the other 8 we have to, or 7 we have to go. What was kind of the process of putting together Believe the Hype? Was this one of the first ones that started off Everybody's Famous, or what was kind of the first song in like the more like demo stages where you were like, I want to do an album? Obviously, what was kind of like the baby that started like the thing to be like, well, I should just do it now, and that's sick. Let's rock. Let's do it.
It was one of the last songs for the
This was one
record.
of the last ones. Wow. Okay.
One of the last ones that was written the quickest. It was just like I need a song that kind of like sums up the satirical nonsense insanity world of where we're living, kind of in a song that would kick off the record. Um, and it was just written really quickly, like over probably a week or something. And then I mean, a lot of thought was put into the production, but the writing is pretty fast, and we got it all done pretty quick, actually. So I hear like, and I love how that kind of works sometimes. I've
Mm-hmm.
like just trying to bang it out, but we were under like a deadline actually, so it was
Oh.
induced by that. Um, but yeah, in terms of like the production choices, just distorted bass, slap guitars, that
Mm-hmm.
surfy thing, big drums, really nice strings, kind of there's some weird synth bits in there. It's kind of just, it's all the stuff that I love that kind of runs through this whole record that you'll be hearing.
Well, I'm very excited, and in terms of the demo, I imagine it kind of. I imagine you. It seems like you had a very like succinct way of being like, okay, this is going to be the one of the last songs on the album. I need to figure out a way to kind of like fully encompass what I'm trying to do with the album. Did you find that maybe, I don't want to say you were less creative about it, but did you find that it was a little bit more like straightforward because you already had like the guidelines in front of you of like, okay, this is what I'm doing in the album. I need a song that kind of fits those guidelines. And did you kind of tailor it more around what you feel like needed to be on the album, or was it more of a like, no, this winds up working and it also fits well within like my parameters of what I feel like the album should be like? I'm just curious if you didn't like compromise on like the more creative aspect of creating something interesting for the sake of like, well, this needs to fit on the album, so like we have to try to make it work or something.
Maybe that's an interesting way to look at it, but it was definitely like a bookend
Okay.
for the record. So like, the last song on the record is Everybody's Famous.
Mm.
So that, sums up the record in that sense. So I need, in a closing kind of way, but I needed the opening that was kind of the reflection of the same sentiment.
Okay.
It came from that. So the creativity was kind of trying to find the entryway into that way of thinking versus the exit. The final thought is more like the opening thought to the record. So in that sense, it
Sure, for
was kind
sure.
of challenging. Um, but sacrificing creativity, I mean, I didn't feel like I did or had to. I knew I wanted to like fit it in under 3 minutes. I think that's the only thing. I was like, all right, I can't go into like a long, wacky bridge, changing keys and whatever, like I
Going nuts.
typically
Yeah.
love to do. I'm like, no, it will not go there. It'll have it'll have a middle eight and actually be 8 bars. I
Ah,
don't,
okay.
I don't know if you've heard that term. It's like a kind of outdated music term for a bridge. They call them middle eights.
Ah, no, I did not. That's a more you know kind of thing. Now I know. So now I can use
Yeah.
that and seem like I know a lot. When in actuality, I probably know this much, or maybe a little more. I don't know. You'll have to
It's
let me
also one
know.
of those things that, yeah, it's just you also don't need to know it. Nobody cares. Nobody even cares
I
about
need to
it.
know
It's
it, Alex. All right, I need to know it so I can seem like I'm more intelligible on the internet. So I'll take anything and all things that will make me just a little bit smarter. So, but it was really cool. In
yeah.
terms of the lyricism for Believe the Hype, what is this kind of centered around? I think you kind of talked about it like loosely a little bit earlier, but what kind of topics does this delve into?
Uh, just the level of inconsistent information, uh, manipulation seems to be like the thing. Everyone's got, and then the positive is that everybody has a voice to kind of, do their, to uh, amplify what you think is true. But just living in a world where you're manipulated all day and night, just everything seems like there's an alternative motive to everything we're given and consume, and it's like scandal after scandal after scandal, and it's just normalized. It's like it's just fine. It's like, okay, like, what is it this week? Like it just yeah. So it was kind of born out of that, just being again satirical and ironic about it, about believing the hype, but like, like you better believe it. And then I'd talk about being turned into digital ash, and that's like a reference from something I wrote in the past. And we're both content creators, and we're putting this stuff out there,
Yeah,
but I think we know um, how easy it could be taken away,
sure. Oh
and
yeah.
the questions about the tangibility of it and whatever. So it was born out of all that.
Yeah, I think you can find a lot of relation to it and kind of like listening to more of the lyricism, which I would argue I don't really delve into as much. I'm more of a like I like I'm very low bar. I'm like music good, music sound good, and that's it. Um, but I do find that like with this song, I kind of resonated a lot with it because oftentimes, as you mentioned, being a content creator, I'm, literally on the internet doing this with Alex. So like for me, it's like,
Mm.
this could be construed as any way as someone views it. And so, I also just try to know that like the content I create and I'm sure by obviously very similarly to yourself is like content that you wish would stand the test of time, for people to kind of enjoy and be a part of, and whether or not it's like, you know, I would argue I don't particularly do anything for arterial motive, or I don't even know. I probably fucked that up, but like I don't really do it. I just do it because I obviously enjoy Alex and I enjoy all of the artists that I have on here, and so for me, it's just like I want to be able to have that experience of sharing music, despite this maybe not being my genre that I typically listen to. I just know Alex makes some really great music and great content, and so for me, it's like a way for me to show off and like obviously for Alex to kind of explain his thought process and creativity, and it's a cool thing. So that I know I
Yeah,
went
dude.
into a way tangent, but
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is amazing. And what we're doing is sharing what we love, like you said, and like
exactly.
giving the platforms for talking about art and music and blah blah blah. I'm mainly talking about like the news media
Oh,
content,
okay, yeah.
like more giving them, like a verbal slap in and just trying to shine a light on that all being bullshit. Or even independent media that's like, this is the way it is, and like this is my opinion, and like here's the news from my perspective. It's like that needs a little bit of a
Sure,
shake up.
sure, sure.
No, I mean what we're doing is, I mean this is like,
This is
um,
real deal, genuine.
well, I just love. I think we are celebrating, creativity, community, music, all these things that they never had a bad impact on the world. It's all
Sure.
positive.
It's not divisive, and that's important. But yeah, no, I would also agree with your stance on, like, the news cycle. You just can't always believe the hype. No pun intended. Like, I think it's a very aptly named song because, you know,
Yeah.
everybody jumps to the ultimate conclusion. And then it's unfortunate that that has to be that way.
It's great in Canada. The social media has, or government rather, in Ontario blocked news publications from being shared and read on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So now it's just been saying like, oh, from now on you can't share or read news. And it's just like, oh, okay, why? And I don't know. I don't know what the point of it is. It's a
Sure.
little.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to keep it off there, but just weird stuff all around with the
Well,
whole.
we'll never know. I don't think that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what it comes
it's
down.
more, yeah. So that was me being a bit of an agent of chaos, wanting to like play the role of perhaps a showing kind of that in a different light, and yeah, it opens up this record.
Well, that's great. I think it's a great start, and we're gonna move it on to the next one. If Alex is good, we're gonna move it
Let's
on
go.
to With a Bang. So
Oh, it's
let,
right there.
let's check it out.
Blew you a kiss, you blew me away. I taught you to hunt, you made me the prey.
Interesting guitar work.
Lips like venom, always leaving me drained. I'm crawling back, looking somewhat deranged. Can't find the lock, must we really be chained? No matter what they try, we can't be tamed. You say it wouldn't be this way forever, but now it's clear that it doesn't stop. You keep on saying now or never. I've been waiting here till I drop. Now the final act is up. The terminal lovers. So let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a bang.
Nice.
At each other's throats with a bloody bouquet. Love is the drug, and we medicate. Always gotta be right, make problems larger than life. Rattled and ready to fight, bringing out my dramatic side. He's got a few loose screws, she's obsessed with the blues. They've got opposing views, celebrating nothing to lose. You say it wouldn't be this way forever, but now it's clear that it doesn't stop. You keep on saying now or never. I've been waiting here till I drop. Now the final act is up. The terminal lovers. So let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a bang. Go ahead, take a bite. Surviving purely out of spite. One last break of your fang. If that's all there is, let's go out with a bang. So let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a bang. Bang, bang,
Poor Alex, stuck in the trunk.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What another great music video.
I
Awesome.
love that. I love narrative stuff. I want to get more into that. It's like little stories.
It came out great, so yeah, the song was awesome. I really enjoyed kind of the more this one I think I enjoyed more than the first one we listened to, arguably. I think there was just more of a like just there was something about it that just caught my ear immediately, and I was just already like just like vibing out with it. One of the things I liked musically was that kind of like descending like riff, like in that like pre-chorus. I'm trying to guess. I think I would say it's the pre-chorus. That was super sick. I love when artists include like a real kind of like descending riff, and just like all the instrumentation going on in this song was just really well put together. Uh, I also enjoyed kind of your like, I don't know if you had like a little bit of grit in your tone, but like it had almost as like kind of raspy like tonality to it that I don't feel like the first song that we listened to really had much of. In Don't Believe the Hype, like this one had more of a like a raspier tone, and I think I really appreciated that because it gives you a little bit more dimension vocally. So I appreciated that a lot, and just the overall vibe. It was like the rhythm was like the drums and the bass were definitely well in the pocket, and I could definitely feel the groove immediately. So I would say this one's my front runner right now. Obviously, we got some more songs to go, but I this one I think is going to be hard to beat, I'd argue.
Yeah, sick. I love this song too, for sure. It's definitely spicier than the first.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What a composition change, you know? I think that this I'm curious where this one kind of lied in terms of like your demo stages, you know, when this one originally was written. Was this amongst like the first songs to be written, or middle, or towards the end? Where was this one kind of placed at, Alex?
Mm, This one was the middle,
Oh, okay.
and the demo stage was pretty interesting. I had worked off a beat that a drummer had played and actually posted on his Instagram.
Oh, sick.
Um, and it was just like that, and he had some a little bit of hand percussion going, like a tambourine or something.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I love this beat. I'm vibing with this beat. It's feeling good. You know, you can do those like stitch things on line, and instead of doing that, I just like pulled it into my DAW and started working with it, and then somehow the boom dum dum boom boom dum
Yeah,
dum
yeah,
like
yeah.
I must have like played that on a loop for like hours that evening, and like and just like kind of what ends the song there. And then I just got it just became hypnotic, and I'm just like I love the groove. I lived in that for like a couple days, and
Oh yeah.
then immediately I was just like, let's go out and wow with a bang, and just kind of well, I work differently. First it's music, and then groove, and then I'm like, what is the song gonna be about?
Hmm.
What do I want to sing about? Like, where is this emotion coming from? Am I angry? Am I upset? Am I disappointed? So in this one, that rasp you're talking about probably comes from, I don't know, maybe a little bit of like, I don't even know what energy would be. This song is like what I always picture you to listen to when you're stalking someone or when you're being stalked by somebody.
That's fair. Yeah, I could see that.
Like it's just like it's a creeper song. I feel like I'm being creeped on. Like I do
It
groove
does
to it,
have that kind of groove to it. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like da
or if
da
I'm
da
going down the
da. Yeah,
street
da
on a
da.
mission, like you're on a mission going down the street, kind of like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get. So I'm like, all right. So I kind of went from there, and it's kind of talking about toxic relationships, and the whole going out with the bang thing is kind of like celebrating endings.
Sure.
So, and yeah, and then it just kind of came together. So it took a little bit longer. Let's say the first one, and a real band on this one. So live
Yes.
drummer, bass player.
Nice.
So that pocket. Shout out to Derek and Scott, amazing musicians. And they were not on Believe the Hype. That was something that was electronic drums. I
Yeah.
played the bass, so a little bit more. It didn't have that human element. So, and I wanted that with Believe the Hype because it's supposed to be kind of like this artificial.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
Hughes. This is the thing. But this one's much more human and yeah, it's vibes.
Yeah, you can definitely tell there's like you can tell kind of like the more neutral nature of Bleed the Hype, and then this one has more like there's like more raw energy to it that I really appreciate, just because obviously my background is more in like bands and groups and stuff, and I definitely feel like this one like you could just tell there was just kind of like a 180 in terms of energy, and that's not to discount the first song certainly by any stretch. It was a great song, but I definitely feel like there's a lot more like personal bond or personal connection to this song, because you're like, okay, I can feel like that drum, I can feel that like bongo beat, I can feel like the cool bass riff, the guitar works really sick. Like you start getting into it and then you hear the vocals and you're like, okay, I'm feeling it. Like I'm just gonna remember that like bum 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 as I'm walking down the steps to get my snack tonight. When I like ultimately go to get a snack, and that's the sound, that's the music that's playing when I'm like up late at night and I shouldn't have another snack, but I'm going to anyway because I deserve it. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna be thinking about that riff now in my head.
It's on a mission. It's like a spot, like a mission riff.
It's a mission riff. Yeah, exactly. I would agree with
You're like
that.
a spy. You could be a spy, or you could simply just be getting some snacks.
Snacks, yeah. Listen,
Where you
feast or famine. It is what it is. No, it was great. This one, like I said, it has just such a great like personable energy to it that I think it makes me excited to delve more into like the middle tracks when we get into this part of the album, because if this song really kind of carries that energy over to the next couple songs, I mean, I feel like this one's going to be really tight. I think overall, like, it's curious to see like kind of the 180 that you have done in terms of like sound too. I think that's pretty impressive to swap from song to song, but still kind of retain that like Alex exists sound. Like there is definitely certain things that I feel like obviously as I'm going to listen to more of this album, I'm going to pick up a little bit more, but I do find that there is like certain things or certain elements that you have in your songs that I do feel like kind of carry over. So, and I absolutely love that. I think that to me is like the test of a true like artist, is if like you can have a song that's just like a little bit left to center, a little a little farther left than center. You can have a song that's like kind of more in the middle, and you can have something that's like completely far right. But if all three of those songs, or like however many, obviously we were going through 8 of these songs, how far left or right can they go and still have that like integral like Alex's sound, then hey, I'll take it. So I think we'll have to delve into the rest of it. I mean, that's why you're here, I would imagine, if you're watching this. But yeah, this was cool. It's definitely a cool vibe, and I hope that I mean, not all of them, but I'd hope that some maybe continue in the same sort of direction or vibe or feeling. But
we don't know. Let's see.
We're gonna have to find out. So I think we're bound to move on to the next one, which is a Camera Boy. So let's get into this one. I like this chord progression. All right.
Caught up in your lens again. Another day, playing pretend. Getting shot and chasing trends. Posing for the bitter end. I bet the finger on the trigger must feel so good. Come shoot me again like a camera boy should. Staring down the barrel, blowing smoke hearts in the light. Oh, you think you captured me? You must be joking, right? Camera boy, always playing with the human toy. I made my bed, wondering why I'm still not dead. A rat in a lovely frame. The cat plays anamorphic games. I bet that finger on the trigger gets you feeling like a god. Camera's the only thing that you're ever turning on. Staring down the barrel, blowing smoke hearts in the light. Oh, you think you captured me? You must be joking, right? Camera boy, always playing with the human toy. Do you like what you see? Does it fill that void? Camera, taking pictures to prove you exist.
I need to switch up. Okay.
Let's go get it twisted. Taking pictures to prove you existed. Our time is don't get it twisted. Camera boy, always playing with the human toy. Do you like what you see? Does it fill that void? Camera boy with the human toy. Camera boy with the human toy. Camera boy.
All right. That was Camera Boy. Guys, that's track
Yeah.
3.
Snap, snap.
Check it out. I enjoyed this one a lot. The guitar work, I like the like really interesting more like acoustic guitar parts in this song. I thought that was pretty interesting. I also really enjoyed the layering. I think this song had arguably, I would say, the most layering right now. There was a lot of interesting things going on, and I think I have to give this more of a listen just because there's a lot of like depth to this track that I didn't think there was going to be, just because at initial first glance, you start off with that like really interesting guitar like chord set, and I was like, what is he going to do with this song? Like, is it just going to be an acoustic song? And it really kind of fills out, and then you don't really start to notice it until you get to the chorus, and then everything just opens up. And I think that that's awesome. This one might be second place right now, I would say, in terms of my favorites. I really enjoyed that guitar riff. That was probably one of the more interesting guitar parts I've heard thus far. I mean, again, we're only 3 songs in, but I really enjoyed that a lot. It almost reminded me similarly to I'm sure you've heard the song Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake. It's kind of got that like almost, I want to say like borderline like Latin sort of flavor to it, but it kind of has that sort of feel to it. I think that's obviously the way that you have the guitar like I guess affected out in that way. But yeah, it was really good. The musicality, like the vocals were really cool, and how they flow through the song, I thought that was really really sick as well too. But yeah, this one was another really fantastic song. I think this one requires another listen, I would argue, off camera, so I probably wind up giving this one a listen again. But I really like the depth of this track. I think that's what is the strong suit of this song, is just like the amount of layering along with just kind of the vocal structure of this song. Really enjoyed the vibes of this, so I'd say this was a good one. I'm curious how you put this one together, Alex. How did this kind of come to be?
Cool, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate all that. I love how deep you go into it. And this is a deep cut, let's say. It's a deeper cut on the record. Maybe
Sure.
not the deepest, again, spicy, I think, is what you're hearing with the JTT Cry Me a River thing. Um, you know, did it. I think it's just the rhythm, and not so much the sound. I mean, yes, it's an acoustic guitar. I played that on a 12-string acoustic guitar,
Oh,
so I
okay.
think that's what gives it like a more interesting flavor if you
Mhm.
were to actually like put it side by side with those two songs, which I actually suggest everybody go do because it's pretty interesting. Um, and yeah, those on a 12 string. A lot of interesting instruments were used on that track. There was a theremin in the bridge
Oh,
kind of section, kind
that's
of
true.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So there's a bit of that. What else was in there? There's strings, there's piano, there's voices, there's distorted bass again, a lot of drums. Yeah, no, it's like a pastiche um, kind of piece.
I would agree. And there was a little bit of a standout moment. I kind of heard the like almost like trap like hi-hat trills kind of thing, like the little like that. I noticed that. I don't know why my ears picked that out of like the multitude of other instruments that were stacked on top, but I kind of heard like a little bit of like that, and I was like, I don't know why he added that in, but I'm glad because my brain went full like tunnel vision, and that was like I was like, that's sick. I like that. Why is this in here? Don't know, but that's why Alex is here. So
I love subdivisions on drums. Just like, if you can make really fast beats work rhythmically with like interesting rhythms kind of like bursting out of nowhere. Like
yeah.
I find that exciting. Like it could be overdone and like not always so good, but I just thought this song, it was the right tempo. This song actually had a tempo where could pull it off. I don't typically put that in my music, but something screamed out to me to put it in there.
Well, I'm glad you did because my tunnel vision brain was like, this is sick. I'm going to focus on this for like about a good 5 seconds and then jump over to something else. But it was,
Yeah.
yeah, the layering on this, I think, is probably the strongest suit in terms of, I would say the best recommendation in terms of like the vibes and stuff. Like, really brought a lot of different elements that I think you kind of touched on a little bit with the previous songs, but didn't go as like I would argue a little bit more avant-garde in terms of the styling. So I appreciate that it both feels collective in the way that like the song is put together, but also simultaneously like you had a theremin in the song. Like, why is that there? That's so insane, but it works so well, So I think it's like it's like chaos. It's
I love,
like perfect
yeah.
chaos. It's like just enough. It's just got a little bit of out there, but like it's enough
Yeah,
to not feel like it's taking you out.
totally. Look at the album
The
cover.
album, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Like chaos. I mean, it's supposed to be like perfect chaos, perfect, whatever, close, there's no perfect, but it's yeah, that's a big part of my sound, just like a collected chaos, really, but it's supposed to kind of yeah, it's supposed to shake you up a bit, but sometimes it caresses you on the head. So, yeah.
I felt simultaneously like locked in the moment, but also like, what the fuck am I listening to at the same time? So I feel like
Oh,
that's if that's what you wanted, then you certainly have got that out of me. Obviously, wasn't going to like. It's not. I think anything is very subjective, but I've actually really enjoyed all three songs we've listened to. I think I would say that these are songs I probably, if somebody was to throw this on like a Spotify playlist, I'd be like, oh, I like the song, but I think for the fact that kind of your ideology or the way that you write is just like, I'm going to just throw all of these artists into like all of my artists or sounds that I love. I'm going to throw it into a blender. I'm hitting blend, and then I'm pouring out the blended juice into a cup, and y'all are going to drink it. That's what I feel like is the vibe. And I got to give you a lot of credit because I think that oftentimes, like, from what I mean, I may be speaking a little out of turn, but I find that artists maybe don't inherently go for the insane shit that they see in front of them. They're like, okay, how can I make this like a little bit more palatable, right?
yeah.
And that's not a bad thing by any stretch, but I think there is an inherent like there's an inherent coolness to just being like, I am just going to throw everything at the wall. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't stick, then that's fine too, whatever. But whatever's staying on this wall, I'm going to use. So I think that that's really cool. And again, I love this one a lot. I would say, again, number 2 on my tier list here. I will go through all of the songs and rate them out from. I'll probably pick my top 5 since there's 8 songs, or maybe 4, because I gotta make it even. So maybe I'll do top 4. That doesn't look too good, but we're gonna do top 4. So I'll pick 4 songs.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, I think all great artists should be unhinged, create like and being creative and chaotic kind of all flow together. I mean, I could go more. I mean, holding yourself back isn't always so bad. Like I could technically have pushed myself more. I had to hold myself back quite a bit actually on for some of the choices I wanted to make. But and some of the people who work with me was like, you can't put that on the cover. I was like, really? So, I made my own scaling back, but I appreciate that you actually like that about what I do, though. It means a lot, actually, because it takes a lot of courage, and like I don't always have it. Throw it all out there.
Sure. It's also scary, I'd imagine. Obviously, like for me, I am in the comfortability that, like, obviously, I have the people on that either like I know do good stuff within the box, but then I also obviously have other people on that are like, I am going to step way out of the box and like try to do something that like to me resonates with me a lot, but also like collectively as well is something that I'm proud of and that I want to be able to share with other people. And so, like I said, I think it finds that great middle point between like crazy and just crazy enough, like it's in that like sweet spot, like, right there. So it's good.
Well, real quick before we move on, what did you think of the lyric of Camera Boy?
The lyrics were cool as well too. I think that again, my brain was full on tunnel vision and I was just listening to the music of it. But I like that it was like I like that again. Similarly to the first song, like it does kind of have this like you kind of hit that stride point between like the past 2 songs we've listened to, where I feel like this one's a little bit more moodier. It's a little bit more like flow state a little bit in terms of like the vocal structure.
Totally.
So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, what are you delving into lyrically in this one, Alex?
Well, it's mainly about everything like toxic again with the lens-based art. So like I'm a photographer and a
Okay.
videographer as well. So like it's such a toxic but wonderful industry. So like you said, actually interesting enough with the flow state. It's like it's chaotic, but there's like a flow to it, and it just it's just about all that and people behind the lens thinking that they're gods and they're super special and working with like human clay, or colors and like something like that. I just find that kind of really strange and fascinating. So I wrote it from the perspective of that and yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. I kind of intended to be like a photo shoot song, seeing how it would people kind of had it at a the vibe would be interesting, and yeah. So if anyone's a photographer out there, put it on, see what they think. But it may make some people unhappy though, because it talks about people behind the lens abusing that privilege and thinking they're special and them not being so special. So it depends where you're at. It's like holding up a mirror to somebody.
Sure,
It's gonna make so. But yeah, that's it. Just before we move on.
No, it's I appreciate that because I think it offers like an honest perspective on things. I find the same sort of feeling like with people who do like interviewing and stuff, and like that's why I kind of always approach it from a level of like humbleness. Like you're trying to show someone else's art off. Like you want to be able to provide them with, a place where they can be able to do their art however they want to. You aren't any I tell people this all the time. I'm not anybody special. I just happen to be doing it for a long time, and that's just that's just how I do things. But I don't feel like I really personally have any ego attached to it. Just like I do it because I love doing it, and B, like I also want other people to know that there's great artists out there. Very similarly to the comments I made on like the first song, that I think
Mhm.
there is an inherent necessity that I feel like you are definitely tackling, Alex, in these songs of definitely being upset or being frustrated at certain circumstances within particular industries. And I think that that's an important thing to talk about, because there is a lot of fucked up stuff that happens in those things. And obviously not I appreciate the fact that it's a broad brushstroke, because obviously not everybody is like that, certainly, and there's great people out in any industry. But there's bad apples spoils the bunch, as cliche as it sounds. I think that's what I kind of take away from it, is that you'll never hear about the people that are doing positive things. Is just the one person that does a really shitty thing and everybody knows about it, and now that's all they know. They're like, oh, you do this, blah, 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 So I get what you mean.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed with it because I love it so much.
Sure. Yeah.
And
You have an
like
attachment to it.
like I love the art, and when people like make it look bad, the feeling is disappointment. It's hard not to write these things when you're just like, what's gonna like charging me up to like sing sometimes. I find myself, it's always the anger or the disappointment or the frustration, but it's good. It's like cathartic. It's better.
Exactly.
Happiness doesn't quite charge me up in the same way.
Oh, well, I hope that people can positively impact you, Alex. That's the
They
important thing.
do. They do.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try tonight, as I
No,
always do.
this is awesome. This is awesome.
But great
All right,
song. What were you gonna say, Alex? Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, you want to hit up the next one?
Absolutely. Let's rock. So the next one is Dancing with Chaos. This was the one that I watched, so I'm gonna get to relive it again. So let's get into it.
Sunday hangover morning, got the jackhammers car slamming, trying to get me going. Head rings like a chainsaw as I'm trying to keep it chill, steering bills in my mocha. Mess all around every inch of this town. I'm just trying to keep it together. I'm just looking for a sign that I haven't lost my mind. Need to decompress the pressure when the world is on fire. And we're walking on a wire, surrendering and letting go of your illusion.
let's go. All right, guys. That was Dancing with Chaos. I enjoy this one a lot. I just obviously since listening to it, and I haven't watched it again since I had Alex on last time. Um, I gotta say how wild and ridiculous this music video is. I forgot how like just if you guys have any sort of light sensitivity, I apologize in advance because I definitely did not mention that before we clicked on the video. So I do
Oops.
apologize. But I think that's, and I know we talked about it in the interview, but I think that's kind of where I feel like you thread the line of like art and music, and where the song I think also benefits from the music video, and conversely, the music video benefits from the music. And I think that this song, as I've listened to it, and I've listened to the other songs that we've have on the playlist here, I can start to formulate things. I think with Dancing with Chaos, and that was the only song I listened to, and I believe it was the only song that was out at the time. I was like, where is Alex going to go with this project? Like, where are these songs going to go? Because oftentimes when I listen to a band and they have a single, I'm like, is it just one song? Or is it like, a part of an album, whatever? And obviously I found out later on it was part of an album. And so now in retrospect, listening to this song, I'm like, okay, I can see where he's going musically. Obviously not 100%. But I could kind of get a better frame of reference now. I feel like that I have listened to the 4 songs now plus Dancing with Chaos. And so I think I'm curious to listen to the next song, because I think that's really going to be able to kind of put everything into more of a frame of reference for myself. But I like this one's a little bit chiller. Very similarly to Camera Boy, which we just listened to. Like, I think this one also has more of a vibe to it. I did remember mentioning in the previous interview I had you on, this has kind of again more of a indie, surf rocky sort of feel to it. Like, there's a lot of cool elements that I didn't feel like I picked up on last time, but now listening to this song and knowing what I know now, it really kind of brings in a lot of those different weird elements that, again, it's probably a song I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it with more depth, because there's some interesting things that I didn't pick up upon the first time, and I picked up a little bit more stuff the second time around, and I'm sure the more I listen to it, the more I'm gonna get a little bit more invested in it. I do find also a thread with your music, Alex, is that I think that your music, and maybe I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn a little bit, but I find that your music, the more that I listen to it, the moments where I pick out different things. Like when I go and listen to it for the second time, this is probably the only example that I can say that I've listened to this 2 times, where the first time around I was picking out some really cool guitar parts or vocal parts, and then this time around I was like, what is some weird shit that I know Alex threw into this song that was interesting. And there's definitely some moments that I can't really pinpoint throughout the song, but just the overall I was listening to more of the textures and the atmosphere of the song more opposed than the musicality of it. And I think that was really cool to kind of pick out those elements within this song that, again, I don't really pick up upon the first time. So do you find that with your music, you're or people that listen to your music, do you find that they're oh, this first time I listened to your song, I picked out this part, and then in the next time they're like, whoa, I didn't hear this part in the second time, that's crazy?
Oh yeah, I get that all the time. They're always all the time. If you always look, you'll find something for
Exactly.
sure. I like to think it just means it gets better with age. But yeah, everybody always mentions that. They I put the record on again, and this time, what is that keyboard doing? Or this guitar thing, I never realized how it. So, I mean, I love hearing that, because that just means that they're actually feeling and hearing all the different cool stuff that's in there.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
you jam pack it in there. It's like a nice lunch. You just put everything in the canteen. It's got
Yeah,
great
it's got
layers.
packed really well, but not smushed. You don't want it
Exactly.
like
It's not crushed, you know. It's like perfectly laid on top of each other, you know. You can clearly, you know, it's like a nice tiramisu or something, you know. You see the fine layers, you know. So I got to give you a lot of credit for that cuz I think that's hard. It's hard to find, especially with I feel like it's hard to find with people's attention spans kind of shortening. I find that like having music that really makes you think about what you're listening to is incredibly important. And I think that, again, going through Dancing with Chaos for a second time, it was cool that I was able to pick out things that I didn't pick up upon the first time. I think that is a very good trademark to music that I wind up enjoying listening to because it gives you that experience of like something new every time, but even though you may have already heard the song already, it just brings out different elements, different aspects to the musicality. So but yeah, loved it. And I also just, again, commenting on the music video, it was very cool. I like the the different like visual elements, the like more psychedelic kind of like feeling of the song and like musicality. Oh, yep, exactly. Going off. Alex is going off with the lights here. I love it. But yeah, no, it was really cool. And I think I enjoyed this. I would argue I enjoyed this song even more so a second time around. So very cool, very cool. In terms of the
oh man.
lyricism, Alex, what were we delving into on this one?
I'm just thrilled that you called my music a tiramisu. That you compared it to tiramisu. That I'm just like that's like the best compliment I've ever
Okay.
had.
You have to put that on your like a blog post, you know, up
You
there
have
with
to,
like cool, like these songs were great, and then you just see my name and it just says, he said my music sounds like a tiramisu. I was want to
that is the
be,
running with that quote. Everyone's getting that on the next press release.
hell yeah, awesome, love to see it.
Uh, yeah, for the lyrics, I mean, kind of self-explanatory. Dancing with Chaos, just about like the slow, mass, soft psychosis of humanity, kind of like the spaghettification of people, and how we're all kind of turning into one big kind of black hole of energy, and being like an optimist about it. Optimistic nihilist, I suppose. Uh, yeah.
I'm gonna morph into Alex. That's what he's really telling me is that I'm gonna get long hair. I'm gonna start wearing like a button down T-shirt, like button down shirt. Like some of my non-existent chest hair showing. That's what's gonna happen. I think that's what Alex was trying to. He's trying to forethought me into making my get up
Oh,
the way
it's
I
not
look into
me.
more like
We're
Alex.
getting, yeah. Well, we're rolling up into each other. So you're gonna get some of that, and I'm gonna get some of this over here, and then we're gonna get some of everyone else too.
This is wild.
We're like Katatari. Is that the name of the game? Where
Oh,
you're like,
Katamari, yeah, the where you just rolled a ball.
that's what this is all about. It's like we are just becoming one with
Katamari.
all of us.
That also has to end up on the press list. We all are all Katamari, I think.
The
The
spaghettification of
spaghetti. That was good. I feel like I gotta use that now. That picked up in my ears. I was like, spaghettiification. I like that. We talked about tiramisu, spaghetti. We might as well just be Italian podcast now at this point.
yeah. I'm half Italian, so like I can't help it.
I am not anywhere remotely close to Italy, so in my genealogy, so I'm only by proxy close to it because of Alex here. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna take down. But no, I really enjoyed this one. I think this song gives me a little bit more meaning in terms of just having listened to half this album already with you. I think that gives me a better perspective. Also, the sheer fact that I've listened to this once already, I think it gives me more appreciation and more of a vibe with this one. I think originally I was kind of like, I don't know, like, is this really something that I want to do? And I think I ultimately sat down and listened to it a good like 2 or 3 different times before I listened to it, this third time now. And as I listened to it, I think I became more more enthralled with kind of your thought process on how you went about writing, and that was originally why when I reached out to Jason, have you on, like that was kind of what interests me, was just kind of like the attention to layering and the attention to detail. I think that's like something I really pride myself in looking at in terms of artists. So I feel like you do a really great job of, like, again, no pun intended, but keeping that sort of chaotic nature of your music, but then also again having those moments where it's like, oh, okay, come here, I'll give you a hug, like it's kind of it's like a weird relationship, but it like somehow is very like comforting, but also a little chaotic. It's like you never
Yeah.
know what it's gonna do, but it'll do something. That's what the key is. Key takeaway.
Thanks, man. I love that.
I'm adding it up. I'm just giving you just bullet points to add on to your next PR push.
You nailed you. It's resonating, and I love that.
I love that that will go down that I've called Alex a tiramisu. I think that's I want that to be my claim to fame.
Yeah, that's gonna.
You don't seem too thrilled about it, so.
The last couple, you had a last couple that were great too, like the conversation, the something about like you're with someone and it's chaotic and stuff, but like the hug, I love it, and you don't know what's coming next, but like you are okay with that,
Yeah.
and I feel like
It
you're
was
just
a
describing
little
that
wild.
person.
Yeah, it's like a little, you got a little wild side, like that's how I see it, So, I don't know. Guys, let us know in the comments what you think. Or if you're in the chat, let us know what you think so far. But let's move it on to the next one. Actually, I'm curious, Alex, before we hop into the next one, in terms of this song, since this was the single, I'm curious where this one kind of landed in terms of your demo stages. Can you tell us which one was the first song you worked on in terms of, getting the ball rolling with the album? Is it one that we've already listened to already, or?
So it wasn't. It's the one that got the ball rolling was the song "Everybody's Famous," and it is
Oh,
a slightly older song of mine. It's a very old song. Maybe we can get more into it then. Um, I wrote it in 2016, and it became the germ of the idea of this record. So that was definitely the first.
okay.
This was very soon after. It was in like the first phase,
Mm-hmm.
um, first couple songs that were happening, and yeah, everybody's famous. The song was kind of the genesis of this.
Nice. And then I know you just mentioned in terms of phases. So like in terms of like the first Alex Exist phase, what were the first like kind of songs that you really worked on to kind of, because I imagine, and again, I'm not a musician, I haven't put out any work of my own, but I imagine at least in terms of your thought process on writing, did you kind of put these into like groupings where you're like, okay, not obviously intentionally, but you're like, okay, I have these three songs that I'm kind of like working on in tandem together that I feel like either is going to be like, mixed in throughout the album. I'm just curious on your kind of thought process on, putting all of the demos together. You said you write all of the music first, then you kind of figure out like where you're going to, tempo wise, what's going to work. And then you obviously delve into the lyricism last. So I'm curious if you just like hacked all the music out in like a weekend or two or a couple weeks. I'm just curious what the like yearly or like monthly span of like putting these songs together. I know that's very nerdy of me to ask, but I feel like that's on brand for me, so I'm gonna ask it.
No, I mean, it took about a year. This
Okay.
this record took about a year to conceptualize, write, record, produce, mix, master. Except for "Everybody's Famous," the song that was written in 2016,
Okay,
which
so
is
it's
so.
completed. It was completed in 2016, correct? Or
No, it was written and demoed, and
okay.
then in 2021 or 22, it was revived, brought back from purgatory, and 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 then I began producing it and writing all the other songs within that year.
Oh, okay. So you basically started off with that one, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to write an album, or I'm gonna have to write songs around this possibly. Let me see what I can come up with within that. like your space, I guess, correct?
Yeah, I wanted to allow it to inspire me in that space at that point in my life, and run on that theme that I was kind of starting to build at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it kind of was the seed.
There we go. Well, I'm excited to listen to that one. That's going to be the last one. But the next one we have on our list here is Mindful Madness, and this features Martha Johnson. So let's hop into this one. The editing's on point.
Round and round we go again, and it's never clearer. Help me believe it's not pretend. In my magic mirror, rolled all my coins down in the slots. It's a carnival nature, sucking atomic lollipops. Hijack sanity for ransom, or to sing your new world anthem. This ride's never coming to an end. My weapons of mass seduction, requiems for your destruction. Flick the slider if you wanna burn. I don't care who's watching. It's not like we get freedom that often. Too much to think. Let the simplified if you flee, they will drink. Subliminal creatures, secret believers, possessed, obsessed. So take me mindful madness.
Okay.
Come on, take me mindful madness. The hand that fits, tastes so yucky. Must we be that daft to get this lucky? Don't need the sympathy or attention. Long live my enemies, all is my weapon. Righteousness in puppet masters, staged attacks and crisis actors. I don't know who to believe at all. Censored stories, hacks and death threats, security or surveillance. Damned if we do anything at all.
That was sick. All right. Well, that's the last song we listened to, Mindful Madness. It features Martha Johnson. Big salutes.
From Martha and the Muffins.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm not familiar with them, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, everybody check it out. Awesome. Kind of like early like legends and like art pop, art rock, kind of new wave
Mm.
punk rock stuff, like early 80s, and they've been making music up to this day. So yeah, she was great. It was so amazing to have her on the song. And I think she adds like a huge dimension.
I was gonna say that I really kind of liked her tone. She really added, I think, comparatively to you, like I think it was a nice synergy between you both, that I really enjoyed. I think I would also, again, very similarly, to the previous feature he had on. I feel like I have to give these artists more of a listen to kind of get a better frame of reference. But in terms of what I listened to, I was like, I really enjoyed that. I think Martha added a lot of cool elements, and it meshed very well with kind of your vocal styling and the musicality of it. Obviously, with Martha being a legend, like how did that kind of come to be? I'm always curious on how artists wind up getting the features that they have on like either a single or an album, EP, whatever have you. How did you go about getting Martha on the song?
Like I really just asked. Like I just asked. Thankfully, I did have somebody who had a pretty close line to her.
Ah, okay.
I knew like my email wasn't going to go in the trash.
That's good to
But
know.
yeah, but I just asked, and I was just I was like, I have this song. I was picturing your voice on it. I think it would be amazing, and
Hmm.
like and I was just so floored that she was into it and was great. And yeah, and then we just kind of talked about like music that we both really liked and kind of what we wanted to go for it, what we wanted to do with it, and yeah, it was amazing. It was honestly one of the coolest experiences I've had.
There we go. Well, shout outs to Martha for coming on. I think the song itself was also very cool too. It kind of gave me a, like, I guess musically, I think I connected it a lot to like maybe more of an up tempo version of like Pink Floyd's Money. Like it kind of had that kind of like classic rock like kind of feel to it. Obviously, of a more Pink Floyd type style of music, but like definitely that was my first thought. Somehow, I don't know how I connected those dots, but in my head, I was like, this kind of reminds me of that. Not 100%. I don't want to say like Alex is stealing riffs or anything, but I did kind of correlate those two thought processes. But um, enjoyed this as well. I think your vocal performance was actually really tight on this one. Again, the more like grittier, kind of like more emotive stuff, I feel like you get a really interesting like tonality out of your voice that I was very surprised to hear again. So, but I enjoyed it, and just the sheer amount of like vocal layering going on in this track was insane. So, I gotta also give you a lot of credit for that because there was a lot of layering going on, and I think the way you meshed it up with the music video as your like head pops out of like
Oh
certain spots,
yeah,
you can tell where like the layer is, and then you visualize it, and you're like, holy shit, like that's wild. So, kudos, that was sick.
I edited that one actually myself, and yeah, it is kind of like a visual representation of like the layers in the music, I guess, that we kind of were getting into earlier. I was able to do it with that one. It really was just one image that just had to be, you know, meticulously played with, and I was just having fun on the other end of the lens. And yeah, man, I'm glad that you liked that.
Yeah, came out great. The cross pollination of musicality and art kind of like I feel like you do that very well. And so I that's kind of like at least when I tell people about your music, like that's kind of what try to come across as like he kind of finds a great middle ground between obviously making great music but also like in turn like visualizing it and being able to like see certain things within the song that I don't think you would necessarily not be able to point out, but I think it's a little bit maybe easier to see because you're seeing it and you're hearing it and you're like, oh shit, like the auditory visual aspect of it. It's like, okay, I see he's like, I can see he's doing harmonies and I can hear he's doing harmonies. Therefore, he's doing harmonies. Whether that's like a mind fuck, I don't know, but I don't think it is. Just, based off of my inherent knowledge of music, I don't think it is.
Yeah. No, thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's pretty much bang on. Yeah.
There we go.
Uh,
And then in terms of mindful madness, Alex, what does this one delve into in terms of the lyricism?
it's like the moment where you realize you're nuts, and it's like a very liberating moment because it's worse to spend a lifetime searching for something. At least if you find it and you're like, oh, okay, it's this, and or not even finding out that yourself is the way it is. It might be a little broken, but your surroundings. It's like that moment where you're like, aha, okay, it's built like this, and this is how I fit into it. And actually, that's kind of screwed up. And how do I navigate this? Do I go through door number one? Nope, that one's fucked up. How about door number two? Oh, okay, well, it must be three if there's only three. Oh no, it's not three either. Okay, and it just that feeling of feeling that you're constantly searching for something in some sort of maze, um, not by your design.
I feel that. Yeah. That was kind of like my thought process before I started interviewing musicians. Like, I was like, what the fuck I graduated college and I'm like, am I going to descend into madness, And then luckily interviewing did well and I'm still doing it. And I would argue, I'm a little nutso still. I think everybody's just a little crazy, but yeah,
Everyone's got a little bit in them.
yeah, you got a little bit. So just remember that you are just a little bit crazy. And I can say that because I am also a little bit crazy. So do it up. Do you. But yeah, I enjoyed this song a lot. I think musically it was also very cool as well. I probably put this up there as well in terms of one of my favorites. Just love the kind of, again, vocal layering. I just think you're doing a really great job of just layering all these tracks out super well. Like, I think there's a lot of depth to it. And a comment that I made before, I think that a lot of your music has a lot of repeat value where you can listen to different things, pick out different moments, and really kind of, I want to say harp on it, but are able to kind of understand or figure out certain things. You're like, oh shit, that's cool. There's like a really cool vocal layer part here, or like, wow, I didn't know there was theremin here. That's really neat. So I think it's just been exciting to kind of, again, glaze all over all of it on more of a face value, and then obviously after the fact I'm going to delve into more, and maybe I'll make a comment in the comment section. So if you like this, also leave a comment. That'd be really sick of you. And go check out Alex. I forgot to mention it a bunch of times, but like, links are in the description. So go show this man some love. Go do it, because you should.
Yeah, let's hang out. Come join like the community. We're having fun time over here. Just having fun, making music.
Alex has got more shit on the docket, I'm sure. So, best way to find out is just to give him a follow on the social medias. I know, cliche as it sounds, but that's the only way. So we're going to move it on to the next one, Alex, if you're all good, and it's going to be Free to Run. So
yeah, it's either follow me on social media or show up at my front door.
I hope you don't show up onto his front door unless he's like willingly giving out his address. Then, don't dox him. Don't do it. That's not cash money. We don't do that here. So, but this song would be appropriate, Free to Run. So Alex will be running away if you show up to his house. So don't do that. So Free to Run is next. Let's give it a listen.
That'll be the music video.
Oh wow. What a different tempo. I love it. All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, this was track number, let's find out because I'm losing track here. This is track 6, Free to Run, off of Everybody's Famous. You can check the links below if you'd like it. Go give it some love. But yeah, this one was very out of the left field, I'd argue. This one has way more of a like more of a major key, more positive. I'd also say as well as that, like the tempo much faster paced. Time kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I was like, whoa, Alex is changing up the tempo on this one. I appreciate that. Definitely more of a fun song. I'd be curious to see. I don't know if you have any plans to play these songs live, but this one I feel like would go off live. It seems like it has the like live band energy to it. So, but yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. Actually, this one was very fun. Definitely a little bit different from what I think we've listened to thus far, though. I'd argue.
Yeah, we do play it live, and we actually close with it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's a rager live. It's so good. It's actually my favorite song to play live by far.
Oh well, I'm not even surprised at all because it definitely has like a great live energy to it. I think your vocal styling in this was really cool as well too. I don't feel like you're, not to say that I don't like some of the more interesting characteristics of your voice, but I think that you allow more of, I think, the guitar work to shine in this song. Like I think this is definitely more of a guitar focused track, especially with that guitar riff. I really enjoyed that a ton. Very fun, very like bouncy, very energetic. But yeah, this song was great. I think it kind of, I think this is, I would argue this is probably one of your more tamer tracks, you know? I don't think there's like a lot of crazy, I think there's definitely some crazier elements going on in this song, but it's not, I don't feel like it's so out there that like, I don't think people would, I think people would enjoy this one. And as I mentioned before, I think the live aspect definitely helps with this song, but it doesn't seem like the typical like Alex Exists sort of vibe, even though I still think it has like a lot of like spirit of what Alex Exist is.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I mean, it isn't a major key. That definitely gives it like its own kind of like thing.
Sure.
It's kind of different. And yeah, it's about escaping like a toxic situation. So being free to run, kind of like a freedom type song, like exploring that type of stuff. So it had to be fast, had to have that energy, and that gallop. I always kind of feel like I'm on a horse.
I feel that. Yeah, I was also riding on a horse. I felt that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's a great one. This one is a great one. I guess I don't mean to cut you off if you had something to say, Alex.
Not really. I just, it's just, yeah, it's a great track. Got some cool leads in there.
Yep.
And the speed is good. The next song is really fast too. So like the album kind of peaks out on like the speed. So, yeah, not that I want to jump to it straight away, but we can if you want to spend a little.
We're doing it, you know. I go with the flow here, so I'm in a flow state right now. So I feel like, you know, if we feel like we've talked enough about the song and you would like to move on to the next one, we're gonna do it. You know, I'm at the beckoning call to you, Alex. You know, you're the front runner for this, so you know, lead the way. You know.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out this lighting. It keeps blowing out my face, but maybe that's better.
It's all right.
Yeah, let's go into Instant Karma, the next track.
Right.
It's kind of the 1-2 punch anyways, like with these two tracks.
All right. Well, guys, you heard the man, Alex. We're going to go into Instant Karma next, so let's give it a listen.
Instant karma's gonna get you. Gonna knock you right on the head. You better get yourself together. You're gonna be dead. What in the world you thinking of? Laughing in the face of love.
Wow, that was wild, guys. That was Instant Karma, track 7 off of Everybody's Famous. Wow. I think this one's my favorite now, Alex. I'd argue.
I do. If it was my favorite, jamming it out with you. I felt that.
That was great. I was that one. That one hits hard. I think that's gonna unless Everybody's Famous is just like insane. I think this is probably my favorite one by a
Cool.
landslide. I really enjoyed like the different like musical like change ups that like that first time, and I'm sure you saw my face of like when it originally switches, you're like my brain went into like what the fuck did just happen, and then it switched again and my brain was like what is going on here, what am I listening to, this is insane. So yeah, you definitely sufficiently hit the I don't know what the fuck's going on right now brain moment that I had listening to this song. So I hope that everybody else experiences that same like just mental thought process as they go through and listen to this song, cuz it definitely that first time around is a little bit, I wouldn't say rough, it's just definitely something different, and then by the second time you get through the next chorus you're like no, this is good, I like this, and then by the end of the song you're like man, I wish there's more time on this song, you know. So I was yeah, this one was great, 100%. I really don't have any extra things to say about the song. I just think I think the best way I can leave it off is if there's one song that you have to listen to on this album, I'd say Instant Karma is the one to listen to.
Cool. Love that quote. Yeah, it's a super fun song. I just go like you said, it goes wild. And this was one of the later songs I wrote as well. Once I started like getting more and more excited as the album went along, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I plan on. It's so fun live, this one as well. And I have to give a shout out to Zoe Stara, who sings on this track as well. You probably hear her, she's like got that kind of fairy voice that pops
Yes.
in and out. She is amazing, great voice and producer. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this one. Just letting it rip.
Yeah, it's got a great again. It's got almost like there's some really interesting moments. I think it has kind of similarly to like Mindful Madness, as I mentioned, like having more of a like classic rock sort of feel. There's definitely moments that there's like a lot of like more like indie pop kind of like vibes within this song. Um, just like more like there's like even like little bits of punk in there. It just kind of feels like a very strong amalgamation of a couple different genres that you're like on face value, if you looked at it, you're like, I don't know if these would work together, you know. And I think that you were able to kind of find a way where everything bleeds well into each other, but they don't feel like they overstay their welcome in terms of like the different switch ups. Like you could have moments where I feel like certain parts of the song could have been like a little bit longer, and some parts could have been like I don't want to say shortened, but I definitely feel like maybe it kept around the same like parts. But it was nice that you kind of jumped different genres. I think that will I would imagine keeps people interested and keeps people on their toes, especially at shows. I'd argue just because there's just a different vibe to this song overall, and I think this is my standout track thus far. So I mean, we have one more song left, so maybe Everybody's Famous might take that top slot, but I'm gonna hold my breath. I think this one might be the one, but in terms of lyricism, Alex, what's Instant Karma about? I think I might have an idea, but I'd like to get it straight from the person who wrote it. You know.
Well, the person who wrote it is actually dead, so that might be a little hard. But interviews do exist. Uh, so that is old John Lennon tune, or and Yoko Ono. I believe they co-wrote it together. And if you were actually to listen to that tune, like afterwards, or after this podcast, I was listening, compare it because it's wildly different, and I knew I had to make it wildly different. I didn't want to do anything that was reminiscent of the original, other than be true to the some melodies, but the lyric mainly, because I think the lyric is amazing, and it's an incredible song. And I had to do my token cover, I suppose, on this album. Yeah, so I technically did not write it, but I produced it and kind of did. It's my arrangement and all that.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Now I know. The more you know. That's yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put that. If we weren't live, then I would throw that in post. But we're live, so I'm not gonna do that. But just imagine I put like a cool graphic up here. Yeah, we'll have that.
Yeah, man. But I mean, like you said, I think we kind of know what the song's about. Like, I mean, what I felt when I sing it and when I read it is just like live life the best you can, and love your brother and sister, and just you don't want to be hit with that karma. Like, come on.
I'm not a fan of karma, so that's why I had Alex on here, so I didn't get bad juju. That's what I realized is that Alex emailed me to come on, and I know he had a great time the last time we came on, and I'm not gonna ruin the bad juju. So I had to have Alex on, not only for that reason, but also the album's great so far. So we are gonna move it into the last track, unfortunately, but I feel like we might be ending this off with a bang. So everybody's famous except me, the title track, in quotes, of the album. So Alex, if you're ready, we're gonna. I think we should move into the last one. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right.
Captured, raptured, you laugh like an actor, senses bought and sold. Yes sir, no sir, can't hide the laughter from followers, swallowers, clowns, thieves and lawyers. Everybody's famous, everybody's famous except me. Everybody's famous, everybody's famous except me. Fakers, like a machine, no mental, a hygiene. My favorite TV show to watch is The Face, because we're all alone. I had an idea today. There goes the needle in the worldwide hate. Illuminati don't have taste anyway, because they're all alone. Everybody's famous. Everybody's famous except me. Everybody's famous. Everybody's famous except me. Young, plush, and tasteless, well-fed and heinous. We gotta run, run, run. We gotta run, run, run. Loaded and painless, nothing can change us. We gotta run, run, run. 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 Everybody's famous. Everybody's famous except me. Everybody's famous. Everybody's famous except me.
All right. That was the last song. Everybody's famous except me. We've come to the ending, guys. It's been a blast. If you like this, album, please check the links in the description. Go support my man Alex. But we're gonna talk about the last one, and we're gonna Alex is gonna give his best plug to go check himself out after. So stick around for the end. But the song itself was very fun. It definitely has this kind of like, I would argue it has the most like pop sort of vibe to it. As well as that, it kind of gives me a lot of like, for some reason, gives me a lot of nostalgia. In terms of like a lot of like, weirdly enough, a lot of like older like classic rock kind of like, I guess they're not pop, but just like oldies type music, if that makes sense. It kind of gives me that sort of feeling, like weirdly enough, because I feel like there's some shit that I listened to like growing up that I'm like, this seems like so out of pocket for some reason. Like, why would like some like more obscure like classic like rock or oldies type artist do something like this? I felt like maybe with like more of the synth work, or maybe kind of the way that the vocals kind of sit in the song, give me that sort of nostalgia. But yeah, overall it was a very good track. I enjoyed the vibes of it. Um, Definitely, I don't want to say like, I don't think there. I think it fits well within the album. I was a little bit trying to figure out like if it was gonna be placed well, just because it was a little bit more happier, a little bit more poppier. But
Mm.
I think it sits well within the kind of grand scheme of things. Even though this song being one of the older songs off the album, I think it still has a uniqueness to it, and I still think it really sits well with kind of the collective of everybody's famous as the album. I don't think it's really out of place in certain parts. I would say it's maybe a little bit more major key, a little bit more popular than maybe some of the front half of the album, but I think overall it does a great job, and I think it rolls well into the first song, which is believe the hype. So I don't know, so far the whole kind of concept of the record has been great. In terms of this song, obviously being the first song, what kind of lyricism or things are you delving in on this one, Alex?
Yeah, I think it goes out on like a cheeky little smile. It's like it is a little bit upbeat and kind of more positive and poppier sounding for
Yes.
sure, but it's kind of like a, kind of a smirk and be like, it's lighthearted. It kind of goes out on an optimistic nihilism thing. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Nobody likes major keys. I mean, um,
I like major keys. I don't. I think it's the
I
juxtaposition of the two.
I don't know. Every time you brought it up, you're like, and this one I know it's in a major key again, and like, oh, like,
I didn't mean to throw shade about major key. I love major key, but I'm an emo at heart, so I feel like that's kind of where I'm like, I need to feel sad.
it's true, and they really do have a really strong emotional effect on you. I actually did a talk one time at Concordia about how if you just change the key, which is really just one note in a scale, to any song, you can vastly affect people's feeling of the track. So I took like Billie Jean by Michael Jackson and we turned that major into a minor, and it got like really weird and creepy and everybody felt it. And in Hey Jude, Beatles, we did major to minor, and they just like, it sounded like a funeral dirge, like literally like a,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, but anyways, but I liked, sometimes things need to be in a major key in the sense of like, if I come across a chord progression I like or something. And
Sure.
honestly, I do it a lot just to challenge myself. Like, I'm with you, man. Like, there was a point in time where like I did not allow myself to write in a major key.
Oh wow.
Or,
Okay.
I was like, I don't like it. I didn't honestly. It was because I didn't feel comfortable with it.
Okay.
And whenever I wrote something in a major key, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of stupid and like doesn't have the angst or the drama that I usually, that minor keys have. But then I kind of found the reason to do it within my voice and my own niche in it, which is, what you're hearing on this record.
Yeah, no, I think you kind of delve into a lot of cool things, not only kind of from the musical perspective, but also I think as well lyrically. There's just a lot of cool things to talk about in regards to
Mm.
the album, and I hope it gives people probably more of an eye-opening experience in regards to listening to this, because for me it was cool just kind of sitting down with Alex and chatting about the album. Like, that I think I got a lot more out of it with listening to the songs and kind of really knowing where your like thought process was, like whether it be from like more of a musical standpoint or as well as that like lyrically. It was just really a fun ride, and I would highly implore everybody to go check it out. If you don't want end up watching this video, just please go give it some love. But as I mentioned at the top of the video, I am going to lay out my favorites. So I feel like most people know Instant Karma number 1. I think I'm going to put With a Bang at number 2.
Oh,
I'm going to put Camera Boy at number 3, and then I think I'm going to end off my top 4 with Mindful Madness.
good picks, my friend.
Thank you. I think
I
I
like.
think those kind of like surmise, it's like half like sad songs, half like happy songs. It's a good mix.
It is a good mix. That's like the EP version, the audio diction version.
Please listen to the whole thing. I am not trying to make an EP version of Alex's album. So please go listen to it from front to back. I know you will do it, but I'm going to leave the floor to Alex. Alex, tell the people where they can find you at on social media, what you have coming up after this, because I imagine you're going to be working on some new tunes and all that jazz.
Yeah, I'm just playing a lot right now.
Woo!
Doing. I did my release party here in Toronto. I'm opening up for an artist next week, and then I'm going to be playing some shows in Buffalo and stuff, just around the southern Ontario, northern New York kind of area. Um, yeah, I'm working on some new tracks. I have some remixes coming, some other collaborations, but mainly just trying to share this with the world and really get a conversation going about listening to it and how it makes you feel, and it's intended to lift someone's spirits. Like it's dark and kind of crazy as it really makes everything sound. It's supposed to take you out of that, so the feeling of the nihilism doesn't crush you. So so it's supposed to be an uplifting record. It's great for like going on missions and walks and stuff. And online, you can find me pretty much Alex Exists World, mostly everywhere. The world of Alex Exists, and and yeah, and I hope. Thank you so much for giving
Oh,
me this platform, man. And like this has been such a great conversation. It's so cool, and I hope everybody, like, I'd love to hear. We want to hear what you think, and good, bad, in between all of it. Just it's supposed to be fun too. Like this cover is almost like I'm memifying pop culture, musical pop culture, anyways, and it's yeah, it's supposed to be about fun at the end of the day. So and connecting with people.
exactly. Well, guys, listen. If you like this, check the links in the description. As I mentioned before, all of Alex's social media is all there. So make sure to give him a follow if you do live in the greater Toronto area. Go out and see him, because he has not made his way down to past Buffalo, New York. So maybe Philadelphia is on his list for later this year. I don't know. Who knows? We'll figure it out. But go check him out. If you enjoyed this live track by track, or if you're watching in the past, thank you for watching. If you liked it enough, hit that thumbs up. That would really mean a lot. And if you enjoyed this, video, make sure to subscribe. I am trying to hit 5K before the year's over with. So that is my goal. It's a very lofty goal, but I think you can do it. You can help me get there.
Yo, do that. You can do that, man.
I feel like I
Let-
can feel it. The positive energy. So please go subscribe if you feel so inclined to. But again, go check out Alex, and huge thanks for him to come on and talk about his new record. Everybody's Famous.